before we get into this evening's live, I would like to just kind of talk a little bit about what I think will be some important things to discuss here in this evening's live. I am happy to see some green here today. We talked yesterday. We could get a surprising uptick, unexpectedly. And we talked about a few, and some of them are doing okay. Some of them are doing okay, but what is standing in our way right now is the weekend, as now a thinly traded week we're into a thinly traded time frame here. At 8 o'clock tonight, we know that the stock futures will be closed, at least in the after hours trading will be closed. The stock market had the third worst day of losses in the history of the Dow. Point wise, it was the third biggest drop, not percentage wise, but point wise, it was the third largest drop in the history of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So just consider that, that the historicness of that. Consider the fact that gold, and this is why I talked about the contrarian bet yesterday. Gold, silver, hammered. Mining stocks, hammered. And we talked yesterday about all of a sudden, before that happened today with the stuff, we could see that it was starting to turn in a weird way yesterday in the mining stocks and gold and silver. But we talked about how crypto here now could become, or is likely going to be, is the contrarian bet here to normal conventional thinking. And what I was saying yesterday was, if all these markets are pulling out and they're getting obliterated, people are going to start to have the mindset, why should I invest in gold and silver or mining stocks when I can invest in a up-and-coming risk asset in cryptocurrency when supposedly this is the new store of value? And now we can find money coming here unexpectedly through retail because they don't think they have another avenue. And I think that this becomes the contrarian bet right now, and a lot of people would be like, oh, I'm not going into a risk asset. I started talking about it when XRP was starting to rotate back above $2 if we could hold, well, before it happened, but if it held that $1.94 200 day and then started pushing back up, we had certain areas. Yes, we can't jump the gun here and say we've met any of the expectations aside from the fact we went down to the 200 day in the daily. We tapped it. We also tapped the pattern consolidation as a back test on support now, which is freaking, I can't even explain how nice that is right now. We just don't want this to become a bear flag. So we just have to invalidate this by coming through this area about, I say $2.29 should get the job done. Because then you could start working your way some majestic magic. We also talked about yesterday how eventually we're going to have to end this 15 week in a row bearish weekend. So this would be the weekend where surprisingly, because we're backtesting a lot of the old breakouts here in certain tokens, this is where I think we could make a surprising uptick. And that's why I talked about the DGB purchase, not too long ago on those retracements. I think it was at 86, 87. I don't remember now. 0086 or 7, the purchase. Talked about the purchase of H-bar. Talked about the purchase of ZIL. Because I felt like they were in a spot now where if this is a contrarian pick, this would be a perfect spot for them to make some kind of movement. Now, what I'm going to say is, until we get some kind of green on this next daily candle, I'm not going to expect too much. I'm in my heart of hearts thinking this bet. I'm hoping that for whatever reason, because money, remember, money when it flows out of somewhere, it doesn't just go to money heaven. It doesn't go to money heaven and die. It doesn't just die and go to money heaven. It finds another avenue where there's a yield to be made. Well, some could say that the yield to be made, there's only one avenue. Because the 10-year dropped by 10 basis points. It was astounding. Well, 4 basis points. 1%. Okay, so it came back a little bit. But still, 4 basis points. It was down to 3.91 or 3.93 earlier. No, 3.94 earlier. Now it's at 4. So, the yield picked up a little bit. So someone was buying the bonds. Emerging markets, the bonds are doing fine. They're a monthly dividend, but they're not going to be affected so much right now. But money's going to try to find yield somewhere. And I think cryptocurrency right now is offering one of the better opportunities Just because if you're going to be in a risk-on environment, you might as well go to the riskiest asset of all because it gives you the most potential return out of them all. I have a question for everybody. And I understand a lot of people might not come in tonight because, hey, you know, the market's not exactly what everybody wants. It's not majestic. But I have a question about my title. I want to know if you think it's better how I put the date before I put a little bit of a headline title, or is it just better with just the headline with no date? That's something I want to know. Honestly, your opinion on that. And I waited for a few minutes so that there would be a few people in the audience. But I would love to know. Can lie, I've been bearish selling my gains. Hey, nothing wrong with that, CZAM. A title first is more. Well, no, I understand the catchy headline. That's why I still put the headline after the date. I'm saying with both of them. Because I started doing it on my 60-second TAs. And surprisingly to me, I was getting like 15 to 20% more views on my short videos when I started putting the date. Okay, so headline, then date. See, that's what I like. This is why I need the constructive, it's fine just the way it is. Date first so you can... That's the only reason I put it first. Because I knew if we're looking back, the date first would make it easier. That's the only reason I did it first. Because I debated both ways. I think if you're watching every day, you don't need the date. But if you're not watching every day, it doesn't matter. I guess, but I think a date on the shorts is better. Date first. I agree. I like the date first. Just for the fact that if you're looking back on it, or even if you're looking at the videos, it does it. And since people always want the most recent, like somebody, who said that? Frankie said that too. I love it. Because I was thinking that too. You can beat me to it. But people do like the most recent. So if they see the date, I don't know how many complaints I get because somebody will watch the video and say, why the heck are you putting this video out? Why are you talking about this today? It's not the 12th and it's like 2 months later. It's like, listen, when I put that out, it might have been that. And you might have just been alerted to it or you might have just stumbled across it. But it doesn't change the fact of when I put it out. So, but yeah, so I was just curious. And I mean, today might not have been the best day to do it because, I don't know. It's the way the market is. You guys know what I'm talking about. A lot of people are skeptical and they're not really going to watch. But yeah, hit the like button. I'd greatly appreciate that. Canto, if I remember and get through this without talking too much, we can definitely start looking down some other things. But I want to make sure to talk about two things. In my title, I didn't put the stock market at its third worst defeat in the history of the Dow Jones, I didn't put down that anything sexy in the title except the truth, with XRP. And I wanted to really read it. But one was, and I was interested in, I even talked to Julie about it before the live. And these are what I wanted to talk about. But Ripple CEO spotlights surprising crypto data. And it just goes through something with us. But I like the next part. And this is why I kind of went deeper. But I didn't put this in the title. I didn't want people to join just because of delisting. Like, oh my God, maybe XRP because of the way the title would be phrased. So Binance to potentially delist multiple crypto assets. And then there was a Solana ETF filing acknowledged by the SEC. This article kind of puts it all together. So I like it because they split it up into their own stories. And I don't have to go to 3 different places to show. But as a Solana one, I don't give a rat's ass. But the first two with Binance, I do want to see what's going on with the something like that. Well, fear sells on YouTube. It does and it doesn't. It depends. It depends because there's something to be said for that because I did rather well in the bear markets or the bull market, but it's got to be real fear. It's got to actually follow through. If you're just talking fear to talk fear, people don't like that too much. They'd rather hear you talk bullish just to talk bullish instead of talking the bullshit of bearish. They'd rather you talk the bullshit of being bullish. In my experience, unless the bearishness is warranted, then people can't get enough of it because then as the market drops, they can gravitate towards you and then it becomes a no-brainer, which I like actually. And then What did I want to show? There was one more thing. Oh, XRP loses 65% in transactions. Or in transactions volume, and then it just kind of goes into an explanation of what happened. I didn't really want to fud up the title either with leading with that, so it just made sense to try to do the date first. So date helps. Sometimes I get stuff from a month ago. So that's exactly it. That's kind of what that was my example too. That I always get criticized because they say that my content, it's just being released today, even though my title says it's this and that, even though it's been released for weeks, months, years sometimes. But I do get that. So, but we're going to get in the charts because we're in a very interesting spot. It's the reason we talked about yesterday a lot. If you were here, if not, this has no relevance. So I don't really want to talk in the past tense, but it was a big sticking point because outside of this bullish consolidation, because we're on the outside of this, well, almost, if you ask me, it was almost like set up as a symmetrical triangle in some ways, but then it became like a descending kind of pattern with a falling channel. That is what we're focused on right now. Broadening wedge outside of it. I understand, but we have this falling channel and then we had the inversion. If this inverse head and shoulder still somehow plays out, and this isn't a bear flag that plays down, because make no mistake about it, if this is a bear flag, we're going down to that $1.50, folks. But I think because we've tested the outside of the bounds as support, I think this is the most opportune I feel going into a weekend in 4 months. Is that a fair way to put it? And it seems weird because all markets are jumping off cliffs. Sometimes when it's a thinly traded market and it's the only market in town and a bunch of people lose a bunch of money in a bunch of different avenues, I haven't met a gambler yet that won't try to make back his losses. And what's the only market open right now? Can somebody say it? And I don't care about Forex. That stuff is too much. Too many markets or too many different spots of the world going at one. No, thank you. I don't even know. So I think I put it back in that box. And Julie, I put a light bulb in there, in that lamp, and plugged it in so that you could see. Yeah. You're welcome. And I turned that light on back there so you could see. But yeah, the crypto market is the only game in town right now. So, I'm thinking there's something deeper. So I'm trying to play the 5D chess game here. How at this point it's like 10D, it feels like. Yes, please smash the like button like Shane said and so many others are stating. Tanya says, I watched the video from over 2 years ago. It's mad. You calm down so much. Oh, I know. I'm a different person. In the last several years, especially working out and, just working on myself and stuff and just understanding things a little bit. Well, in the beginning, I will admit, though, that was my cachet because I knew I had to appeal to somebody. And since I wasn't going to try to scam you or make my living off of lies, I knew I had to be extravagant. So I would just tell you guys to go F off. And that's, people would piss me off and I would just be whatever. And I wouldn't have any filter. I said it in the beginning. I won't have any filter until I need to. And I used to say I'll have a filter when I matter. And then when I started getting the comments from moms who kept saying, I would love to watch more of your content, but my kids can't listen when I'm around you. Hell, even some dads would say it. I want to watch you in the office, but you're kind of, you swear too much. So now it's like, oh, now he can't share it to the boss. And God only knows, maybe that becomes somebody who brings in hundreds of people. You never know how it works. So you got to try to tone it a little bit. But I still am spicy. That's the problem. Sometimes I come in and I'm just having a day. And I just don't care. I don't start that way. But if somebody's treating me like a piece of what. Julie knows. Don't blame me, blame my parents. They didn't understand how to talk to kids, did they, Julie? My dad yelled, and my mom, she doesn't think she's yelling, but she doesn't, I don't know how to explain my mom. Julie, how do you explain my mom?
Your mom.
We do love her. Cezanne, thank you so much for the $20 donation. I greatly appreciate it. I need to read what that question said because it just took it off my screen. So I'm going to give you my best observation here now that I got through the opening. Oh, I wish you guys could see the squirrels outside. I've been throwing peanuts over here and they're just walking right up to my window now. I love it. Let's see. I need that question to pop back. There we go. Best guess on where risk on assets go. I've been selling out, waiting for on a crash, playing it safe. Well, I mean, selling it out, waiting for a crash, but we've had a significant crash. How long have you been out? Because if we're being honest, 295 was no, that's not even as high as it went. So, but if we're selling out, like we have to talk about it from the top. Like we've already come down. That's what I was trying to say before. When we came to the bottom, that's a 41% drop. But I know what you're talking about because I was trying to wait out another when I sold out a few assets and I was trying to buy back much cheaper than I did. And some people left because one of them was down like 32% and I bought it back finally yesterday. But it was overnight before yesterday, but the early AM hours when it seemed like something weird was happening, and it wasn't exactly the play I thought I was going to be making. Like one of them was DGB at 0086. I was thinking I was going to make a play at either 008, but it stopped at 0083, so I had a hard time just being like, oh, this is where I want to go with it. And then it went to 9.3, back to 8.3, back to 9.6, back down to 8.4. And I'm like, holy shit, it's clearing out the volatility. So once it starts to clear out the zones, then it doesn't leave gaps. And you're like, well, it's either going to go down hard or it just opened up a big opportunity that there's no resistance of buyers and sellers in this entire 25% space, which means it could have one of those 70% moves that hasn't happened in like 6 months. And once I start feeling like that, then I'm like, whoa, you know what? Thank you for the profit. Thank you for the little cheaper price. Because it was down like, what, 20% still, 17 to 20. I don't know what it was after I sold. But, so then it's like, it's not worth me not holding. It's the same feeling I had with a few of them. Like ZIL. Same thing. Like, where we're starting to clear out above and then have this level. If these rotate up now, and it makes me feel like DGB, and just because I watch it so closely, and we'll get back to XRP with the expectation, but just because I always watch DGB with just so much closer, like forward thinking, I watch it and I'm like, maybe this is just not the exception, it's the rule. So maybe this isn't the anomaly, maybe this is just what's coming. And when I started thinking like that, I'm like, holy shit. Because if that's the case, it's either we're going to have a big play here that's about to bounce up again because we're forming a beautiful, and Jennifer, I know you're in here, majestic, inverse head and shoulders. Well, I didn't come down far enough on the right side, but you get the picture. Some would say it's like the woman's anatomy. You know, when you start looking at it. I mean, it's that inverse head and shoulders. But, you know, the woman is beautiful. The man is kind of hideous. So it makes sense why this pattern would be so awesome. And so why we just fantasize about this pattern. Let's just put it that way in the crypto world. Ah, see, somebody gets it. James got it. If you understand me, I never had a narrative that said that the crypto, the ISO was going to go live in June. In fact, what have I always said to everybody? There's exemptions to where it actually has to go live until late 2028. So I do not push that narrative. And I don't want that crap on here. But you don't know where what is? It was in that box. And that's where I had it. I literally, Julie, I remember I for the story.
Yeah, no, that's why I looked over there. Everything else.
Where else could it be?
That's why I looked.
Is that in the kitchen? don't really, I can't really look at her report.
I know you
Nothing's going right. I don't understand. I felt like I know I put it back in there. I know, but it doesn't make sense. Where else would I put it? It's always kind of there. Because I didn't want him to get it, I would have put it over here. Unless it fell behind it somehow. I don't know. I think it should have been over there. All right, sorry about that, everybody. I was trying to find something for Julie, but we could not find it. But she is confident she'll find something else that she needs, hopefully. Is this the Great Reset? All the government during C19 we're talking about? I mean, I don't really believe in the Great Reset and the aspect everybody talks about it. I don't think all of a sudden we're gonna have this. It's happening. I think it's going to be a gradual over time, just like how they pass new laws and new agendas, and they put crafty taxes that they never take away, and just how they manipulate every little thing. It's already happening, bits and pieces at every turn. It's just, can you put all the pieces together to acknowledge that the big puzzle is actually being built as we speak? And it's not going to be at one exact moment. It's going to be a length of time that's passed that finally makes it possible, and everything's put in place. It only needs that last regulation to pass, and the last amendment to be put forward, and the last bank not to be able to use the old system or financial. It only needs to be that last time until it's not. So we're already working on that. That's why, like, Brad Garlinghouse said something very interesting a long time, well, not a long time ago, but he said retail is not supposed to be in this. And one day, he basically essentially said retail's not supposed to be in it, and if it's one day, they're going to be priced out of it. So when we wonder why it's still above $2 despite all this chaos in the crypto market, that could very well be a reason. Because I know for a fact, 95% of my audience at 10,000 tokens are priced out right now. They can't afford $20,000 for 10,000. At 30 cents, they could. At 50 or maybe even 75 cents, they might have been able to swing it. But not at $2 plus. So just maybe if we're looking back on what he said, and yeah, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but it's the point is still remains. That's what he was aiming at. So, I don't know. I kind of think that there's something deeper going on here. I can't put my finger on it. And it bothers me. Like I can, but I can't. It's like for the first time in history, they're actually trying to pull a fast one on the ones who think they understand the market deeper than they do, but don't. But then they really can't acknowledge that they don't. But when they really do, they don't know it. But when they don't know it, they do. I know it's so fucked up, but that's how I feel right now. Like we know something deeper than that they want us to see. Because now everybody's calling for a crash in the crypto. They weren't necessarily calling for it before the, some people had a good mindset going into the, Trump stuff. And they were really thinking it was going to pump that day. We thought otherwise at the moment. But now after the fact, everybody's jumping off a cliff. And this is where I think you could really make some money. But we don't know if it's actually going to happen because the money might be made on the short side, not the long side, which would mean if you're on the long side, it's just going to go for the ride like the rest of the markets. There's always one surprising entity in economics that comes out on top because the money has to go somewhere. Well, I thought it would drop sub $2, but now that we've crossed that bridge and we're back to where we're at, it was big for us to bounce off of $1.94 a couple times. because that was the 200-day moving average in the daily. And once it showed that support, now all of a sudden, it also ends up being that majestic backtest area of this short-term falling channel breakout that is trying to convince us that we actually have an inverse head and shoulders. When you start looking at it like this, in a smaller scale, like going back to January of this year when we made the high, it's not actually so bad. Because, yeah, we've put in a right shoulder, but don't get it mistaken, we haven't put in the right arm yet. It's not technically over until you put in the right arm. The right shoulder is one thing, but the right arm, until that actually drops us down to the freaking ground. And Tanya, thank you for being in Tom's arm for 2+ years with the XR or with the 589 moon badge. I remember I read your comment and then I forgot to thank you for that. I don't know why your name just popped into my head. But one of our more popular members in the audience. If she disappears about it, somebody's going to bring her name, like if she's not here. Just like Miss Vicky, if you're out there in the abyss, Miss Vicky. James Dula, thank you so much for the $2 donation. And I need to see your comment after, but think about it. He said, if you have time, will you look at Beam tonight? Oh, that's a good one. I was looking at that yesterday because you were probably the one who kept asking. Or somebody asked. Probably you. Why does this keep shutting off, Julie? The TV. I don't even know where the control's at now. Do you? I don't know. This TV. The TV keeps shutting off. I don't want that background down there. I don't know what's going on. Unless my background was done. You're going to keep walking away. I'm so professional.
It's one of those kind of days. It is the weekend.
One of those days. One of those days. See, when you don't take days off, you're not allowed to have one of those days. You have to do it in real time. But where would I?
Ouch.
Okay. Like, who wants to watch this?
Ouch.
I wonder if my video was at the end. Yeah, that could be it. Oh, man, oh, man. Oh, the funny thing is, the ones who are trying to get me riled up in the audience, that can't work today. I'm in a different frequency where that doesn't bother me today. But I'm glad that it doesn't, because I wouldn't have seen the joking at the end. Julie would have been like, hey, he said he was joking. You should have just read it. But see, that's the good thing. Like, my mind's working in a mysterious way right now, because I want to see if it actually rotates or not. I want to see if it rotates or not. All right. Yeah, this will work. Look at me. I'm in nature now. Love it. Yeah, bring me back to my my caveman-like days. You can see I'm on. If I just let it all grow out, I'd be like a caveman. My hair, well, it's actually getting pretty friggin' long. Anyhow, we'll see how this finishes out today. But before I keep talking and going into oblivion, because it's already been a half an hour, holy moly. It is an inverse, I mean, it kind of is an inverse cup and handle. Because it is. It created that inversion, and it's a cup and handle. It's true. So here, let me, I want to read this real quick. So Ripple CEO spotlights surprising crypto data. Binance to potentially delist multiple crypto assets. Fidelity Solana ETF filing acknowledged by SEC. Crypto News Digest by You Today. So Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple CEO, spotlights surprising crypto data. So Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse recently reposted a report by National Cryptocurrency Association, NCA, encouraging his followers to review the curious findings their study called 2025 State of the Crypto Holders has revealed. As highlighted by Garlinghouse, 21% of Americans own crypto, with 76% of them admitting that crypto has a positive effect on their lives. That's why organizations like the NCA are so important, spotlighting the practical everyday use cases possible through crypto. 76% said it has a positive impact on their life. How? I don't even know 76% of people who even understand what crypto is. Oh, 76% of the 21%. I don't think 76% of people who own crypto would admit that it has a positive effect on them. Seeing that 90% of my audience is pissed at crypto on a 9 times out of 10 basis because they're losing money 9 times out of 10. Because it's such a small window to find the bear market actual opportunity. Except this last time because it was for so long. But that's like every bear market, but it's hard to find the right spot. But what do I know? I just have a case study of 32,000 people watching me. That's why NCA is so important, blah, 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 blah. Let's see. Almost 70% of crypto holders are young and male, with American millennials accounting for more than half of crypto users. Geographically, the highest interest in crypto is demonstrated by the southern U.S., 39%, while the lowest share of crypto owners is found in the Midwest, 17%. Oh, you know, I don't know, for the Midwest, we might be.
I always thought we would be the Middle East of the United States.
Mm-hmm. The Mideast.
Yeah.
But then Binance, I wanted to talk about this. Not that really has anything to do with us, but it just shows how they're getting rid of, on some of these bigger networks, they're delisting different assets. So Binance will potentially delist multiple crypto assets. So Blue Blockchain on X says Binance has expanded its monitoring tags to include additional crypto assets, which means delisting risk. As stated on the exchange's official blog post on April 3rd, 2025, it will extend the monitoring tag to include more tokens and remove the seed tag for selected tokens. Tokens to be added to the monitoring token or tag list are ARDR, BizWap, Flamingo, see bullshit, LTO Network, NKN, Blade App, Perpetual Protocol, Viberit, I've never even heard of any of this garbage, Voxies, and Wing Finance. Tokens under the monitoring tag, at risk of being delisted from the play. That just means they can't take enough money from everybody. Everybody in those tokens are too broke, so it's not worth their time. I'm just being honest. The only time they really delist the token is when they're not making any money. So the people who were interested all probably went bankrupt. 3 tokens will be removed. It shut off again? What is going on? Stupid TV. It's getting shut off. I'm working in the dark today. No, screw that. Look, I'm going to go up against our wall. Here, you guys can look out my real... Oh, that doesn't look good because it's bright. See, that's why I never do it. We're screwed today. It's not going my way, folks. Nothing's working for me today. Not even my TV will stay on.
You can't even use our background.
Here, Julie, will you...
You can't use our real background?
No, because it's too bright when I put it out that way. Will you put my background up now? The one that I normally use, since none of these will work and stay on. I'm glad I get 4 minutes at a time, but you know. The black brings out my hair, they said.
You want your Christmas?
We'll take Christmas, Julie. We will take Christmas. Hey, see, Nick said we're Midwest. See? No, if it was the question about... Oh, crap. I know. Which one was the question? Was it about Beam? Oh, no. Hold on. Wait a minute. I don't know, because there was a lot of stuff that's happened. Thank Julie with the screwdriver incident when we were getting on a roll. And then the background keeps changing. And then I'm just me, so I always talk. Oh, look, I was right. Beam. Yeah, there we go. A little bit of Christmas. I can live with this. This is why you don't want to have an edit. You don't want to be edited. You don't even want good. You just want to be as natural as possible. Because then you never know what's going to happen. Most of you don't even know I'm doing this in front of a TV. You think that's my actual outside window, which is awesome. I had the same background on for 3 months, and they're like, man, it really snows a lot there in the winter months. Like, isn't it amazing? It never changes for 3 weeks, 3 months. I can't even get out my front door. That's why I can't go live. I love the Christmas theme too. See, people thought that for months, Julie. It's true. Because I would think it too. It looks so natural behind me. I love that so much better. Isn't that a nicer look? All right, let's see. Beam. Not Forex. Crypto. I wonder which one would have the longest history. Probably like a Mexi or something. Oh my god. Let me see. I gotta look at one more chart. I don't want to be the person to point this out to everybody. But this thing's in the perpetual shitter. Like, this thing has not only been to the outhouse, it's been turned over, flipped out, and now it's trying to go even deeper. Oh my lord. What the? Crash is the best time to buy if it's the bottom of a crash. That's what we're gonna do. It's an interesting weekly. The daily is ending on the bearish side of it, so that's also interesting. I don't know. It's gotten beat up a lot. Let's see what this pattern is trying to say. Let's see. I mean, we can't go any higher. We're gonna have to look at the lower context here because look how far it fell out. So now we got to see what this short term, like whenever you fall out like this, you've got to make sure it's not forming some kind of bearish consolidation, like a bear flag, bearish pennant, bearish. Well, I mean, a falling channel is not necessarily the worst possible scenario. Something like that. I could live with that. Now, I could argue, and I will argue because I'm going to draw it out here just in case. I could argue that at some point this is going to end up coming into play. Even if it breaks out, that somehow, some way, that'll become a resistance area at some point. Like maybe it'll come up there when it finally breaks out if it were to have a short-term breakout. Then try to back test on the original resistance. So I always draw them in just in case because you got to clear both. And then, again, it's either going to be something like this, which I could see. Did it really just go back to the TV?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I don't know.
All right. You just turn it off then, I guess. See, it's not staying. I don't know. I guess it's just, look at it. Now it's like the abyss behind me. So dark. I might, you know, I kind of, we stand out now. But, I mean, for Beam, it would take some balls. On any crypto right now, it's going to take balls. I'll tell you that much. But this is at the bottom of this perceived pattern. It's at the bottom right now. And then you could also say that maybe it's starting to try to work on a little bit of a swing here. But then I gotta go back to what I'm already losing my mind. It's been a week. It's been a day, a week. I won't say a month because all of last month was a whole month. It was a month. But we're getting through it. My son had a very busy week this week too, so a lot of his appointments plus his GI was thrown in there, and it was an interesting week. But we'll keep an eye on Beam. I'll add that to the list just so I don't forget. Whew, it's taking quite the dive. Is my house done yet? Not exactly. After you get towards the end of a job, like me and Julie put together a list and said, hey, this is what still needs to be done. So they're coming and they'll be back on Monday. I mean, we're getting close to the end. Close to the end. I mean, I'm living in my house again, obviously. But I had a very big project because I did the whole living room. And don't think my house is big. It's 1,200 square feet. So I did the whole living room, the dining room. That's walls painted, beams painted, new moldings, new doors, new frames, new floors. I went from carpet to vinyl. I had my kitchen done, which means everything. It was a whole redone. Everything, it looks completely different. The hallway, all of the house is painted except for the bedrooms and the bathroom, you know, and then I got to do my exterior door. So I'm not exactly done. But I got a huge chunk and it costs, you know, a good amount of money, which thank you, crypto, for a lot of profits. And I decided to take advantage of it because of our crypto profits we had on that massive rally in November. And the the day after my birthday, December 18th, was a big point when it started to do its topping, and then by early to mid-January, it was done. But yeah, it's been a nightmare, but at the same time, I'm glad we've gotten to where we've gotten. But right now, as we approach the 8 o'clock hour, we see some downward movement here in some of the market. IOTA, which I think is an interesting area as well. It's just because we're into the weekend, are we going to have like bear flag drops? Because there's two things that can happen here. And generally, you break out 70% of the move. You know, this looks like it would pass for at least 70%, if not farther here. This looks like it's about 80% of the move. So, I mean, it's in that area where we could definitely break out. We've been kind of squeezing the resistance area. But then it's the question we've been asking, or the question that we've been asking, but the potential we've been watching for quite some time. You know, are these like bear flags? And then they just fall out, and then it would be down here instead. So then you'd be like, well, why would I buy there at the resistance structure if I could buy it on a drop? And it's fair. The only question is this somehow some kind of weird, you know, are we swinging out? Because once we swing out, it's going to be, and it might not be from this level, but wherever this eventually breaks out on IOTA, it's going to be majestic. It's just, is this the majestic zone? Or is this just another dip before another bigger crash without any kind of real return? So, it's tricky. These are tricky. These are tricky. Oh, it's a pain in the ass when you get into the weekends. But eventually, you can't be red every single weekend. And now that this is the 4th month, well, I agree XRP will flip Ethereum, just not in price. I think it's going to flip Ethereum in market cap, but likely not in price. BGB is making huge traction indeed. Well, I mean, can I be honest? I know the ETF stuff is great, but what happened to Ethereum after they got their ETF? Where's Ethereum? 1,809. So I understand, but I know that Ethereum is garbage. That's why I keep saying Ethereum is trash. Solana is better for memes. XRP is better for payments. Like, what does what does Ethereum do? Chainlink is better for smart. The only thing Ethereum ever did was made it a little bit more transferable than Bitcoin and a little bit faster. That's how I looked at it. But then even then you had Litecoin, you know, and you had a few others that you could have used anyhow that were cheaper. I know time ago, before it was more mainstream to be able to use Ripple in the XRP ledger in the USA, you know, it was a little harder for us to delegate. When more things would be acceptable, you'd have basically a couple. You'd have Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, and Ethereum were a lot of the four that I would always see. And I'd always find out, for whatever reason, Litecoin was cheaper than Ethereum. Ethereum was cheaper than Bitcoin. And Bitcoin Cash, it was just so unpredictable that I wouldn't trust it. So then I was left between Litecoin and Ethereum because I'm not using Bitcoin. So, something like that. Biotech MX sent 19 MX. What the hell is MX? No, not MXC. A donation, $19 in MX. MX to USA. Oh, is that Mexican? Is that the Mexican peso? That's the only thing I can think of. Biotech MX. I'm thinking that's the Mexican peso. Well, I don't know. I might sound like an asshole. Is that the Mexican peso? Tom, I have a question. I don't know. I feel like it's a peso. Oh, he did say pesos. Oh, thank you. He said it right below, and I missed it. Well, I never claimed to have good eyesight. Can only see out of one eye. And the other eye is suspect at best. Let's see. Oh, I need to read that article. But first, let's look at Bitcoin. Eventually, I want to be able to...
Focus.
No. What do you mean focus? We're already 46 minutes into this, Julie. No, eventually I'm going to need to get done with this to make sure everything's good because you're doing that. Then I can check on tea and stuff. Since you're working on that. So Bitcoin, again, the only thing with Bitcoin is we need to break out over this section. Now that the days have gone on, we still need to get out over, what is this, 85,300 area. And the more we get rejected in these areas, the worse. But Bitcoin actually held on fairly decently. It's just the last few hours. We're trying to backtest some of these moves. I could argue, which I'm not going to try to argue too much for Bitcoin, but there might be a little inversion there. It would definitely work out better for us in the alt sector in this one regard. Money's going to find its way to the alt tokens this time just because of how risky it's been in the other markets. And like I said to start this at some point in my ramblings, I think right now is an interesting play in crypto because so many people lost so much money in all markets this week, especially the last 2 days, that I've never met a gambler that when they lose, they don't try to make it back. So now if you're a gambler, they don't know sports. They're not going into sports. They know trading, supposedly. You know, so they're going to convince themselves that, hey, I might have failed in these markets, but I'm going to make it all back in a market that I may not even know anything about or that I delegate into with the other ones. Come on, there's somebody in my audience that has that mindset this weekend. Who in my audience lost a bunch of money in the stock market or in the mining stocks or in the anywhere? You lost money in different markets, and now you're looking at crypto saying, ooh, maybe I can make some of that money back. I know there's got to be one person. No, I can't see that great. I only got one eye. And that one eye, like I always say, is suspect. I can see enough. You know, I can see enough. But, you know, this eye don't work. I mean, it sees blur. I guess it kind of sees some to the side. Well, not to the sides. But like front side. Once I get over here, I can't see it. Like when I'm right here, and once you get too far over, I can't see on the one side. You know, even the blur. So anyhow, let's see. Rollins said he's blind in his right eye. Ooh, we do not want to trade eyes. If I gave you my left eye and you gave me your right eye, we'd both be blind. See, but you understand. You understand one thing, though. Ooh, you were hit by a car at 3. Oof. Well, I did not get hit by a car. I got hit with keratoconus. And it's a thinning of the cornea. And I also got hit with the fact that I was the youngest person in the history of the Beaumont Eye Institute to have this fantastic disease progress at the rate that it did that made me blind before I even realized I had eyes. So... You know, they thought it was in the right eye, too, so they told me I'd only be able to see until I was 30. And then majestically, one day, it just wasn't there. I'm 41 now, and it's not there. They don't know what the hell happened. I know what happened. I had some intervention is what happened. So, our Lord and Savior, you know? I think some of you understand. So, let's see. I had to see just good enough to be able to give these updates. Oh, God bless you, my friend. You as well, Rollins. 420, I like that. See, we're amongst the same kind of people. We just can't switch eyeballs because then we'll be blind. If I give you my left and I take your right eyeball.
Eyeballs.
Yep. True. Let's see. God, I still like this in a way with Bitcoin. The only thing is do we come down to 64? Because there's still a majestic cup and handle. It's just, we've only minorly backtested it. We never had that progressive uptick. Now, this is why it's important. Is this the right arm about to fall on a right shoulder? Or, oh, I forgot to get to my point. I finally remembered. I remembered, everybody. Puentes, thank you for the $4.99 donation. Captain Tom, can you peep course chart? Maybe. I appreciate the donation, but I've got to finish this point, and I still have stuff to do. It's 20 cents before crashing back down to about its 6 cents. You think I'll have to try to remember that. Because I finally just got back on track. I've only got so much my mind can do. So much I can do. Let's see. I'm going to try to remember. But look. See if this breaks up. This could have been the most beautiful, majestic, and like kind of secretive pull here. Whoops. Son of a bitch. I hate how it doesn't let you delete it while you're doing something. Now let's pull it back up. I've heard of updates, but why go backwards? I wish I could take this update out. So what if it's doing something like that? And that's kind of like the neckline from the support side of it. And then from the resistance side, eventually you have to get over that. Now we're kind of cutting in, right? So I've been looking at this like a possible majestic setup that now all of a sudden you're thinking it's a right arm, and if it comes down, it looks like that. Well, what happens if it doesn't come down and this is actually a beautiful inversion? Oh, and also thank you for being in Tom's Army for, let's see, XRP 589 Moon Badge for over 2 years with the XRP 589 Moon Badge. Love it. Well, 2 years plus. But what if this, with this inversion, it comes up, maybe it's not a bearish, and then it kind of works its way through, or it's just building the ultimate. So you can see, though, that would be like look at that. That could be a beautiful V-shaped recovery to get out of here to our actual cycle target that we haven't hit yet. I think it was like 120. I don't know why it's not up there. It's been up there forever. But I don't know. That's what I'm looking at. Could we possibly be doing something like that? If it's going to be some kind of V-shaped recovery, it's going to have to be in the weekly or the monthly kind of push like this. You know, so it'd be a quick up and down. Quick down and up kind of thing. We'll see. We will see. I'm sure you guys can tell my brain is fried. It's been a long week. But I'll still be here tomorrow morning. I like to do my lives on Saturday morning and Sunday mornings. Julie knows. Plus, I got to do it earlier tomorrow anyhow because Julie's going to be gone. She's going out with her sisters. And I want her to be able to take her time. Not have to worry about me or T. Or all my audience. Well, yeah, we'll see. How many of you think we can actually rotate up from here on Bitcoin? Or do you think because it's the weekend, we're about to just have this majestic fall off for the 4th straight month? Do you think we can do a morning coffee update?
I'll bring the coffee.
Well, I do a morning update all the time. It's just on Saturdays and Sundays, I sometimes do it a live morning session instead of just an update. Monday through Friday, I do an update, but I record it, and then I just upload it after I record it. On Saturday and Sunday, I actually do it live like this. Except I'll go more like in an update setting in the beginning.
Still bring the coffee.
Tom, we need an electrician over there. I know. Look, it power's out. Behind me, look how dark the screen is, Julie. But yeah. Oh, that's besides the one other thing I need to read that I was gonna read. Did I read it? I don't know. I know I read one. Man, it sucks because we're 18 minutes out from the daily close. So when I get off here, everybody should be watching that in a few minutes. Oh yeah, the transaction volume. That's what I wanted to read. So I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to go take care of some housely duties that I have to take care of. So XRP loses 65% in transaction volume. What happened? On-chain metrics and price action both suggest a concerning short-term outlook. And XRP is displaying indications of waning market support. Recent data indicates that key on-chain values for XRP have fallen by more than 65%. indicating a sharp decline in network engagement and user activity. This is a warning sign that frequently precedes or validates more general bearish pressure. At $2.06 on the price chart, XRP is just above a crucial support level at $1.94. As we know, it fell down there already, and it tapped it as support. So, which corresponds with the 200-day EMA, which we've already talked about. Fundamental buffer, blah, blah, blah. The persistence of resistance at 227 and 237 stifles any significant bullish momentum. The relative strength index RSI, which is currently at about 39, indicates that XRP is getting close to oversold territory. Even so, it has not been sufficient to start a rally. That's because it's close to oversold, and now it's pushing into that oversold territory. It's getting there. Particularly as falling trading volume further highlight lack of investor interest, but it is the on-chain side that is the real worry. The payment volume, which monitors the flow of XRP between ledger accounts, has plummeted. This sharp 65% drop suggests that fewer people and organizations are using the XRP ledger for value transfers and cross-border settlements. The long-term bull case for XRP is weakened when payment activity suddenly declines as this indicates a decline in utility demand. XRP could drop below the 200 EMA. That would be so super bearish. It's not even fathomable. I don't even think their $1.75 would hold. Well, you don't even know because we haven't got there yet. The XRP ledger, so drop suggests fewer people and organizations are using the XRP ledger. Oh, let's see. Has not been sufficient. The payment volume, which monitors the flow of XRP between ledger accounts, has plummeted. The sharp 65% drop suggests that fewer people and organizations are using the XRP ledger for value transfers and cross-border settlements. The long-term bull case for XRP is weakened when payment activity suddenly declines, as this indicates a decline in utility demand. XRP could drop below the 200-day exponential moving average since sentiment is turning bearish and momentum indicators are not showing any significant bullish divergence. In that case, $1.75 is the next significant support, and if the current level breaks, it may soon become a target, all things considered. And I think $1.50 would probably touch in that scenario, the fair value gap, finally, if that scenario plays out. XRP is in a risky position, and price action and on-chain data indicate that further declines may be in store unless strong buying pressure materializes quickly. So, yes, we've dug ourselves a hole. But, these are the opportune moments, I think, to see if, well, I just subtly like to throw in the bad news, okay, Julie? But, it's a hole nonetheless. But we can definitely dig out of it. We're trying. But if we fall below $1.94, it's like an avalanche. And then no matter how much digging you do, you just continue to find a new pile over the top. And then you eventually just suffocate in your own blood. And then, in your own... in the market's case, blood. But, yeah. I'm going to get going. It's been that. Listen to Julie. It's been that kind of a week, folks. And dealing with our son who's special needs and all of his stuff too on top of it. Makes it always an interesting life, for sure. I think 349 is a long ways from now. Well, it's seemingly a long ways from where we sit now. Did I mention the stock market dropped $2,231 today? Or points? UB2B Sub, welcome in. Our meme genius been in Tom's Army with the XRP Diamond Hands badge for over 3 years as well. It's awesome. So awesome. So awesome. Love the members of Tom's Army. Frankie's in Tom's Army for his second month with the Dusty's Outhouse Crypto News. I seen It's All an Illusion's been in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XP Meteor. Yes, sir, Nick. And I know I still have to do, I know there was a couple you asked for, like Filecoin. That was one of them. And I've been paying attention to Filecoin myself to see if it'll break down. And I just don't know if it can do this. Like, could Filecoin actually give us a chance way down there? Probably somewhere in between if it fell. But that's it. If I'm being honest, in this time frame, it almost looks like it built a long-term inverted hammer in the daily, but it's finishing off a longer, maybe Gartley reversal. I don't know. And it's at the pattern spot. I don't know. It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. Oh, Dusty definitely deserved that one. I don't know why he was so intent on bashing my channel when I only had a few thousand followers, subscribers. But he was so convinced it would never go under $1 that he couldn't stop laughing at me. And then when it went to 30 cents, he had to figure out a new tune. But, you know, he never apologized. He said, if it ever goes under $1, I'll apologize. I'm like, how about this? If it goes under 50 cents, well, I never talked to him, but I would always say if it goes under 50 cents, apologize at least. Because that's where it's going. Bah! They all laughed. They all laughed and took your money while I'm just leaving without your money. Thank you all so much. I appreciate all of you. Have a blessed evening. I'm actually going to help Julie. I have some stuff to do.